Port Royal Sound is the dominant geographical feature of this area and most of the sea islands of South Carolina. And Port Royal Sound is the deepest natural harbor south of New York Harbor. So the early European explorers, Spanish, French, and eventually English, all found Port Royal Sound as the easiest entrance for blue water vessels. And that's why it was disproportionately important in the minds of the early Spanish, French, and English explorers. The early European explorers, Columbus beginning them, came west from the Canary Islands, from the coast of Africa, following the easterly trade winds. To go back to Europe, you have to come along the North American continent and find the westerly trade winds, which range from Cape Canaveral in Florida to Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, depending on the season. So this southern coast was, all the traffic from the Spanish main, Spanish gold and silver, came up the Gulf Stream, found the westerly trade winds along this coast, and then set sail for Europe. So it was the place that everybody used to jump off from on the way back to Europe. And as a consequence of that, in the age of sail, which was several centuries, places like Port Royal and Charleston were very important to the American trade, all the American trade, whether it was gold or silver, the Spaniards, or coffee, or sugar, whatever it was. The French were the first to settle here in 1562, 4 years before the Spaniards. The Spaniards knew about it, had a plan to settle it, but never actually got here until, or at least for settlement, they discovered it, found the port and the entrance, and wrote the sailing instructions. But the French sort of slipped in there more quickly, and in 1562, Jean Ribault, French sea captain, started the first Protestant settlement in the New World on Paris Island in the middle of Port Royal Sound. That, of course, prompted a response by the Spaniards, which was the motive for the settling of Florida generally. And St. Augustine in 1565 was settled as a support port on the way to Port Royal, or Santa Elena, as the Spaniards called it. Spaniards named it Santa Elena in 1525. The French named it Port Royal in 1562. It's Port Royal that is, both names have survived.